Back for another Legacy League. I'm doing something a little bit different this time. I noticed that I constantly was boarding out the Karna Gray Creator. I don't really like doing that. I'd like this card, I want it to be good, but it's often clunky, and the format has definitely sped up some compared to, say, 2 years, even just a year and a half ago. And it's just harder to resolve a four-mana card. And by one time I was playing 3 copies, and when Psychic Frog came on the scene, basically cut the third copy to play another main deck blast. And then, since the banning of Psychic Frog, I've kind of slowly diminished the number of blasts. You see here, I'm now playing 7. There was a time I was playing 6 on one side. Um, and something had to go. And the rest of these cards all fulfill particular roles. I don't think you can cut the goblins. If you cut, say, tutors or things like Ensnaring Bridge, Canonists, the one-ofs, then like the deck doesn't really operate the way that it's constructed to operate. I've also been trying to make room for an Elegant Parlor, which I actually thought might improve the situation with casting the card, since we actually are going up one mana source, permanent mana source at that. But it didn't really seem to be making a difference. And there are a lot of matchups where this thing is stuck in hand, or like even if I did draw it, I wasn't going to be able to cast it, or had better things to do. Like maybe I prefer to make a construct, or prefer to hold up a blast, or cast Recruiter, or do something else. And there are certain matchups where it's great, say Storm, of course the Mystic Forge deck, so I do like having it, but it's just not really cutting it. And I'm constantly boarding it out. And when I do board it out, I don't really miss the fact that it's gone. So we're trying something different here, and I've just done something, one minor change. The Magus that was in the sideboard is now in the main deck, and I swapped that for the second Karn. I should also mention that Karn is still quite good against decks that are stuffed Source of Plowshares, which is one of the reasons why I was reluctant to cut it. But usually, like I've found that it's just not that much of a problem. Like the number of times I'm actually getting back a Painter or a Grindstone that's been Source or Prismatic ending away with a Karn, it's just low. And part of that is because I'm only playing 2 copies of Karn. It kind of feels to me like you should be playing either 3 copies, because I think that's the most that the deck can support, or maybe even as few as 0 copies. And we're going to try to find out if I'm right about that, and if so, what that number smaller than 3 is. Is it 1? Is it 1.5 like I'm doing here? Is it 2? Is it 0? And I didn't really want to speculate too much on what other card to bring in, but the thing is, like when this card's at its best, it's when it's dealing with Source of Plowshares in a kind of reactive way. And the decks that tend to play that are Beans Piles and Bant Nadu decks, and against both of those, I would bring in Magus. Magus also gives you some opportunities for free wins against a lot of the blue-black decks that are out there. Although I think we're also fairly good against those decks just to begin with, but still, like you can dump a turn 1 Moon Effect on them and just steal games that way, and sometimes that helps. But Mox is cheaper. It gets you can fetch it with Recruiter, whereas you can't fetch Karn with anything. It addresses many of the same matchups where you would want the Karn are also addressed by the Magus. You can recruit for the Magus. You can slam it on turn 1, and yeah, this is probably like maybe reasonable against the Forge decks, although I don't think I actually would normally bring it in against those. And against, say, Storm, maybe it is okay, but it's certainly not as good as Karn. But I've been playing against a lot of Forge decks recently. I'm sure now that I say that, we're going to play like 3 of them in this league. And it's been a long time since I played against Storm on MTGO. So this is what we're doing. Other than that, everything's basically the same. Sideboard's the same configuration. 4 sideboard bolts, 1 sideboard braid. Just have a little bit more action against Chalice or like Delver decks that bring in no rod. 2 Surgical, Frame of Copper, pretty standard stuff. I have been definitely liking the Elegant Parlor in the main deck. I think I do intend to keep that almost no matter what the answer on the Karn question turns out to be. It's helpful to just have a random fetch land turn into a way to actually get a little bit of advantage in the mid game, and sometimes you can flip over a Dragon Engine, which is kind of funny. And although I've never been able to pull it off yet, there is some synergy, if you want to call it that, where it turns an Enlightened Tutor into an Entomb, which is a much better card than Enlightened Tutor in most cases. This is what we're going to try. This hand, we are kind of looking to draw certain things. Fast mana will be great because it means turn 1 Blood Moon. Also, if it draw it on the following turn, I get to do a blast backup. We have goblins. The awkward thing here is that if the Blood Moon doesn't work, then we may be a little bit awkward with playing both these goblins. We won't be able to hold off the blast, but I think we'll keep this. There are enough good things out this hand and enough good top decks that make it even better that we'll go with it. Now, we may see here one of the reasons why I don't really like the Blood Moon in the main deck at all, which is that like we're mostly keeping this hand on the strength of Blood Moon. I think like, there are plenty of other cards that this could be where the hand is reasonable. Let me see Rainforest off of Once Upon a Time. So this could be like a Cradle Control. But like if it turns out that the guy is playing a bunch of basics, then we just kept a hand on the strength of card that is not really going to matter. Now, that appears not to be the case. But this Thoughtseize, I'll be very interested to see what he takes. If it isn't a Thoughtseize, then we're going to try to Blood Moon him. Oh, well, and as I said, so this is one of the reasons why I actually kind of like this version of Painter at the moment, because not that we have it at the moment, but Enlightened Tutor is very strong against Thoughtseize. You can often like give him a choice of a bunch of lands or a bunch of dead cards, and then the card that you get is protected from this. Now that's not the case here, but in certain situations, it's highly relevant. The other reason about this is that the Goblin Welders are also pretty good against Thoughtseize. Like if we had a random artifact already, and let's say we had like a Painter and a random Lotus Petal, and maybe he discards the Painter. We can play a Goblin Welder and just get that Painter right back, and basically you Thoughtseize the Lotus Petal. Oh, and wow, taking the Goblin Welder, that's interesting. So I presume that on his following turn, he's going to have like Fetch for basic. And there's an Enlightened Tutor that we now can't cast. Interesting indeed. This could be like a Turbo Depth style deck as well. Although Misty Rainforest is a little bit odd for that. If he plays any blue card, we're just going to blast it. If not, we're going to try to make this Blood Moon stick. And hope that we don't just walk face first into a Dark Depths by doing that. It is very interesting that we took the Welder there, given that we didn't have an artifact and that we had a Blood Moon that we were going to be casting. Ignoble Hierarch. Yeah, this is looking more and more like Cradle. And of course, like this is another reason why the Blood Moon might not really matter that much, but we're definitely still playing it because of this. Now, I mean, he's got plenty of colored mana, but all of his fancy lands aren't going to do anything, and that's worth it. Now, that Syrian Spirit Guide is a little late. And of course, now we're going to have an even harder time with this Enlightened Tutor. But as long as we don't get blown out by, say, a natural order here, and that would be a blowout. You could probably go to Traxa, in which case we would blast it with the trigger on the stack. And then we'd probably go Engineer for Dragon Engine and hope to find an artifact. Okay. This matchup is often difficult because they have a lot of interaction and a lot of ways to stop the combo, like Collector Oof, Abrupt Decay. If they had an Elvish Reclaimer active, he could go get Talon Gates to Flicker the Painter when we go off the combo, and they also usually make like some number of Endurance. So this can be difficult, but one of our best cards is in fact Blood Moon, and we have one here. Yeah, and see, look, this card could be giving us a lot of trouble if the Blood Moon weren't effectively turning it off. You know, plays it. As it is, like it's still going to be attacking for 4, which may be enough to give us a real problem, but perhaps not. Now, I think, are going to play the City of Traders here to just kind of bluff the fact that we drew another land. And we are 100% getting Dragon Engine. There's an argument for Painter, but the thing is that we can unearth the Dragon Engine next turn, and our hand is not really so good. And I don't expect him to play any blue cards, but wow, Dismember on the Engineer. That's the other reason to go for Dragon Engine. Zenith for 1, okay. Probably Elvish Reclaimer. Sylvan Safekeeper. Okay. And that's what he has. So interesting choice there to get Sylvan Safekeeper. I'm not sure. So we take 4 here for a while. Kind of annoying. Oh, I see. So, oh yeah, that's actually kind of neat. You can attack and then use it. Oh, that's interesting. Giving up one of his mana sources that works through Blood Moon to get a Dryad Orb. Interesting. Okay, I guess that just puts a creature in the graveyard to make this a little bit stronger. So we do have somewhat of a clock to contend with. Okay, so I guess that's why he got the Sylvan Safekeeper, because he knew I was going to draw Painter Servant. Um, hmm. This has Vigilance, but does not have Trample. Well, we're not going to unearth the Dragon Engine right now because we drew the Painter. So we're going to play the Painter, and I think hold the Dragon Engine. We may just counter basically any spell he plays. So we take maybe, so we took 5, we could end up taking 6 this turn and then 7. So we are on somewhat of a clock here. But he also has to, if he wants to make it 6 and then 7, he has to give up an additional creature. And I guess we're actually only taking 5 this turn anyway, because he gave up an exalted creature to make that larger, so that didn't really do anything. We are not going to block. Okay, so he's just going to keep doing this. Well, we could make him sacrifice a land, but I really don't think there's any point. We could also blast the Ignoble Hierarch. And like you see how good Blood Moon is. Otherwise, we'd have to care about this. We'd have to care about this thing getting lands, because we'd be getting better things than Dryad Arbor, but he's not. In fact, we could also blast the basic forest, which would deprive him of casting Endurance. But that only really makes sense to do if we're going to unearth the Dragon Engine for sure, which I think, are we? Let's see, next turn we take 6, 7, go to 1. Okay, that's actually a rather nice draw. Now we could play it. I think we play it. So could we possibly take an extra? This goes to 5. He sacks a creature to make it 6. Actually, if he could sacrifice 2 creatures, the Dryad Arbor to this to make it 7. So yeah, we may be in a little bit of a tough spot here. Okay, so we found the Grindstone, and we have the Pyroblast. All right, so we take 5, 6, 7, go to 1, play Grindstone, activate Grindstone, and we just have to make sure that he doesn't find doesn't like top deck another Dryad Arbor. I suppose another thing he could do is no, like between these two, he can put 2 creatures in the graveyard. If he finds another such creature, then he could do this. So we're going to blast anything he plays. Also, we may have an endurance off the top, so we just want to. We'll go to 1 if we have to. Okay, we're blasting that. Now I may be, well, yeah, okay. So he could like attack with an additional creature, but we can block whatever that creature might be. And he's not doing that. Wow. I have the grindstone. Now, unless he has Emrakul or Progenitus in the deck, which it seems like he might. Not sure what this is about. Yeah, that doesn't work because of the Blood Moon. But this is the sort of thing that would be eating our lunch right now if it weren't for the Blood Moon. And I guess he just didn't know or wasn't sure and decided to try it. Okay, so you see, like Blood Moon flipping excellent here, whereas Karn, yeah, Karn can be good in this matchup, but often isn't. So we're keeping the Blood Moon. I think we can go down on a blast. We want the Lantern because of endurance. We want all of the creature removal, though, because of Oof and his various elves that get lands. I'm not actually sure we want the Karn. We do want the Needle. The Canonist can be okay, but I think we just don't really want to set ourselves up to have white mana. And for the same reason, Enlightened Tutor possibly could go. Um, Although it looked great there to engineer for the Goblin, if we somehow are not able to shut off his lands, then the graveyard synergies are kind of weak. We'll keep one Enlightened Tutor because sometimes being fast is good enough, and we do have the Blood Moon that we really want to find. Um, could also be an argument for taking out another blast, but as you saw in that game, like we may need to blast things. I think well, okay. I think I prefer to take out a Petal and keep the maybe an additional bridge. So one of the things he's definitely going to have is a Force of Vigor. We will take a Welder because that plays better against Bojuka Bog because we don't have to actually sacrifice as part of the cost. Cutting a little spell here because there will definitely be Collector Oofs and he'll probably keep hands on the strength of that card if he has one. Okay, we'll do this. And as you see, like the opponent thought sees away our Goblin Welder, and I'm really surprised by that because Blood Moon was the whole thing that game was about, and maybe the whole thing that this game is about as well. We are definitely keeping this hand. Um, Definitely. We are soft to a lot of things, though. We are kind of soft to a Collector Oof. We are kind of soft to Force of Vigor. We're even somewhat soft to Wasteland if we don't get to stick this Blood Moon on turn one, but we'll see what we can do. And also the fact that it's a City of Traders and not an Ancient Tomb may mess us up. Now, he may fetch a basic forest here, but he does not. Guess what? I've got another Blood Moon. Take that, sucker. Urza Saga also can be good in this matchup. It's just a little bit slow. Yeah, this time he takes the Blood Moon. Makes sense. Um, Now we could try to turbo out and make this saga larger, but I think we're just going to play this because I don't really want to give up the pedal just to make a construct, especially since if he plays an oof this turn, we're not going to be making a construct anyway. We're going to be floating mana and bolting the thing. Could also just have a wasteland, but basically any creature he plays here, and he probably will play one, we're just going to bolt. We also could have played out this pedal, but I don't think it makes that big of a difference. I'd actually maybe prefer to keep it in hand. Okay, this time he fetches a basic. Interesting. Hierarch. Wonder if we bolt that. Now he knows about the bolt. One of the bolts. So he's got three cards in hand. One of them could be a natural order. We're going to go ahead and bolt this because that might actually induce him to. Ooh. Yeah, interesting. Um, this might induce him to play out a Collector Oof or something if he has it, something that I would rather bolt. Now, do we play the Engineer? If he has an Oof, then we are not going to be able to do very much of anything except just make constructs if we play the Engineer. Um, it's also possible that he just plays an Elvish Reclaimer. And then this Engineer isn't worth much anyway. We're just going to play the Saga, and we're going to wait on the paddle. So we have two unknown cards the opponent does not know about, and he presumably understands that one of them is important because we tanked on it. White of the Reliquary. Okay. So that is a 3/3. Another one. This is why we didn't play the Engineer. One of these are going to bolt. And if his last card is Collector Oof, we're going to have a problem, but he at least can't cast it here, so we will get a construct out of it. Last. Not that helpful. Yeah, and like if we engineer for Painter here, it's just going to get Bajuka bogged. And we're kind of, at this point, trying to deal with this by constructs. Okay, the land does come into play tapped, so we can't just wasteland us off of Urza Saga, but he can wasteland say the City of Traders, which could be equally bad, if not worse. Okay. So he's got one card and 7 mana, 8 mana. This thing attacks for 5. That's pretty good. Interesting to see if he gets a land. We could have blocked there, but I think I'd rather present the constructs in order to double block the following turn, because they will be fairly large. LED. Well, that could be useful. We're going to go ahead and get the Grindstone, although we could also consider getting a Soul Guide Lantern here. Oh, this is interesting. So he's going to get a land into play tapped. Oh, so yeah, so he thinks I'm going to Pithing Needle. Lair of the Hydra. Well, we do have a Pithing Needle in the deck. This thing, does this have trample? It does not. It just becomes large. This thing also already is large. But the fact that this thing is now tapped actually gives us the ability to... Oh, wait, can we... We can't quite do everything. Hmm. If we wanted to, we could give up on the Engineer and then use LED to get the Dragon Engine and draw 3 cards. I don't think that's really that good. I think, on the other hand, like if we don't do that, then it means that we are just hoping to top deck a Painter. Since we have the Blast, we're going to get Needle and we're going to name White of the Reliquary. I just don't want him searching up lands, and if he wants to sink all his mana into the Lair of the Hydra, that is acceptable. In fact, can we even go on the offensive here? So Cradle taps for 2, so he's got 2, 3, 4. This would become a 3/3. So that's 3/8. Or he just attacks with Exalted for 6. We may actually win that race. Especially since if we really need to, we can just throw this Goblin Engineer down or the Dragon Engine as a chump blocker. It's also possible with white shut off that we can use the Dragon Engine with LED to get it back as haste and get 4 extra surprise damage that way. We give up an artifact to do that. Oh, I'm an idiot. I'm an idiot. Oh, wait. Oh, right, because he can't just sack the creature. Okay. So maybe we didn't have to do that. So wow, and his last card was Thoughtseize? What the heck is going on? So okay, so he now has available right now 2, 3, 4 mana. You can make this a 3/3. That doesn't really stop the construct. Now another blast. Do you want to try and draw cards? Give up our blasts? Or do we want to get in for 5 and 2 double strike? These blasts are basically dead unless the top card of our deck is a Painter Servant. And if it is, I think I'm okay with drawing it. We're going to get 4 damage off of this anyway. We're going to present lethal this turn if we do that. He'll have to block. Whatever he blocks, we get to just eat. And the following turn, we attack for 5 again, plus whatever else we might have drawn. Or we attack for 5 this turn, and then we don't draw any more cards, and or we attack for 6 this turn, which doesn't really make that much of a difference, except it turns off fetches. And then, but if it's top of the card as a fetch, we probably win anyway, except that it could go get a Dryad Arbor. And then the following turn, we're basically just top decking. We're putting our top decks against his top decks, and we have large creatures. I think I'd rather just play it. Like we are committing to a damage race here, and this, I think, presents more of a more clock. Now, he could just natural order here, in which case we're going to blast the Attraction with the trigger on the stack, or hopefully we don't just get oofed. Okay, it's a random chunk blocker. Yeah, this is the kind of game that I want to see. So now he could still activate this Lair of the Hydra for a large amount. But, so let's see, how much? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So wait a minute. Yeah, 1, 2, 3 for the Guy's Cradle, 4, 5, 6. So it would be a 5/5. So it could eat the Dragon Engine, but not the construct. Okay, this might get dicey because of the Lair of the Hydra. Maybe we were wrong to do it this way. But if he blocks the construct, then it just dies. If he blocks this, then we get to draw cards and do the same thing next turn, I suppose. Almost the same thing. Yeah, I think we were wrong. I think we were wrong to do what we did. X is 5. Okay, so you jump and kill this off. Okay, and now next turn he can make it so 1, 2 from the Guy's Cradle, 3, 4, 5, 6. So he can make it a 5/5 again, and then that thing dies. I wonder if we screwed up. But I guess if he does it that way, then the creatures all get tapped. So we put him on the spot here to draw a creature. Okay, yeah, I think maybe we were wrong. I didn't account for the fact that Lair of the Hydra would be actually large enough to just eat the Dragon Engine like that. And that's my fault. Okay, and you draw another chump blocker. So we do this game again. And now I can actually make it a 6/6. So 1, 2, 3 from the Guy's Cradle, 4, 5, 6. No, okay. Right, so you spent a land and this has Summoning Sickness. So it's basically the same thing again, except we get to Dragon Engine. And I would like to draw a Painter. or even just a random artifact. What the heck is he doing? Okay, so he's trying to go beat down. Man, I'm afraid I've got some bad news. You're not going to be able to block the dragon engine that's about to come out of the graveyard. Wow, I guess we kind of did things the right way because the opponent's going to miss that. Okay, well, that's kind of annoying. But it doesn't really matter. Float 2. We're going to play the fetch. And with that on the stack, go ahead and fetch our plateau out of the deck. Lose our city traders. Crack the LED. Get the dragon engine. Yeah, Magus, nice. We're going to go ahead and play Grindstone. Okay, yeah. Wow, so fascinating. I usually expect more opposition out of the Cradle Control deck than we got in this second game. But like the first game, we got him with Blood Moon, and then the second game, we got him with Constructs, and we never even activated Grindstone. Well, we did activate Grindstone in game 1, but that game was really won by Blood Moon more than was anything else. So, 1-0, beat Cradle Control, usually difficult matchup, looking good. It occurs to me after I stepped away for a little bit that we were definitely wrong not to pitch and unearth the Dragon Engine on the turn where we consider doing that and instead hardcast it, because I wasn't thinking about Collector Oof at that time. And if an Oof comes down, then we may get one turn to attack with the Dragon Engine, but it will just throw a chump blocker in front of it and it won't matter. But from that point on, the blasts don't matter because we don't have red mana to cast them, and we're not going to get to draw cards to the Dragon Engine even if it does die, because all the mana that we'll need for that will be turned off. So in that universe, the blasts don't matter at all because we're probably not casting them, and we're already not casting them because we don't have a painter and he doesn't play blue cards, and we basically gave up on some damage that way. The other thing to consider is that because it would have been a lethal attack, it would have forced him to block with one of his mana dorks, which means one fewer mana dork to power up the Gaia's Cradle and the Lair of the Hydra, which would have made subsequent turns a little bit easier because we could just attack with the construct with impunity, and we know that every time we do that, we're going to eat up his thing. And as it turns out, we would have drawn, what, I think a fetch, a mountain, and the Magus of the Moon. So, okay, the fetch would have gone to go get Elegant Parlor, and then we would have played the Magus of the Moon, and then it's unclear where the game goes. But the Magus of the Moon would have turned off all his lands. And then he's just got a bunch of 1/1, and a couple 0/1s against our 5/5 construct and the Magus, which we can even attack with at that point, and which itself would be a lethal attacker. So we definitely screwed that up, because we weren't thinking about Collector Oof. We were thinking about it early on in the game, but then when it became clear that he didn't have it, we stopped thinking about it, and that was a mistake. Okay, we are on the draw in, and we have another turn 2 Blood Moon hand, but we also have Painter combo and a Blast, so we are definitely keeping. And we'll see if we get Thought Seized. And the nice thing is that it doesn't really matter if we do. If we draw fast mana, we can even threaten the turn 2 combo with Blast Backup. Well, not all of those things, but pretty close. Opponent's moving to 5. We'll see what we're up against here. Misty Rainforest. Could be an Underground Scene of Thoughtseize. Oh, Basic Forest. Into Delighted Halfling. Well, okay, so this is very clearly a Nadu deck. Well, I guess it's not necessarily, but it's hard to imagine it being anything else. So in order for that to matter, he has to have land. After his draw step, he has to have land, Nadu, force blue card, or maybe a daze. I think we just play this mountain and pass. And we're going to try to counter a Nadu if he has it. If he doesn't have it, we're going to use the Crater Maker. Actually, if he doesn't have it, we're probably just going to slam the Blood Moon. Although there is an argument for playing Painter and then the Blast. Okay, we're probably not doing the Blood Moon anymore. Interesting choice to fetch there and then not do anything. I mean, he hasn't done nothing yet. Wow, attacking with this? Very interesting. Perhaps opponent has looked me up and knows what I'm playing, or just saw Mountain Pass as a Mountain Tank Pass as a very suspicious thing to do. Oh, I guess I am an idiot because the thing couldn't have been countered anyway. So we could try to blow this up with a Crater Maker. Legendary spell, and it can be countered. So we could also play a One Ring, but I don't. Well, we do kind of care about that because it means that our Grindstone activation would have to wait. But I sometimes you see like control decks that might play Divine Halfling and One Ring, but they usually don't play basic Forest, basic Island, or Mulligan to 5. This definitely looks like is more consistent with the Nadu deck. Which ironically is one of the reasons why I like having Blood Moon is these kind of things, where you were playing against two basics and mana dork that produce any color. So we'll see what we have to deal with here. If he plays a One Ring, we may just combo him on his upkeep. Brainstorm. Do we blast that? I don't think so. Although maybe we should. Since we can blast anything, though, I don't know if we really particularly need to. If he plays a... I don't know, maybe we should have gone after that. It's also possible we should have just played the Blood Moon anyway, but I don't think so. I think it's too easy for him in that case to like find another basic land, or even just another like random land as a mountain could still be a problem. Yeah, and he has a basic plains. Blood Moon not looking so good. This is very interesting. There are a lot of things this could be, but none of them really make that much of a difference. I think it could just have an endurance. Could also be something like double source plowshares. Play this pedal. Now we could wait and try to do this on his upkeep, but I think one blast against 3 cards is probably enough. Yeah, you should have just done this on your own turn. Now you could have like 4th blue card here, but I'll save you the painter. Yeah, okay, sure. Yes, I do want to go get one. We're going to get the yeah, the elegant parlor. Why not? Sage is kind of interesting. You don't see that much anymore. Into the graveyard. So now we are almost, a Nadu in itself isn't necessarily going to be the end of things here, but if he also has the cephalid, then we may just be hosed, which is really unfortunate. Oh, I guess we milled one over. That's kind of nice. I like to see that. And now I think we may actually want actively not to play the Blood Moon, because we may want our white mana, and we may need these things to play other stuff. And like even just shutting off his fetch lands may not be that big of a deal. I actually kind of like to draw the LED so we could unearth this and draw cards immediately. Yeah, it's also weird. I mean, why not if the opponent had the Boseiju, why not just use that in the first place instead of using the swords? Because now we got both of his removal pieces out of him, and yeah, we gave him a blast to do it, but what does that really matter? I mean, if you just Boseiju, we wouldn't have blasted, and then we still wouldn't be able to blast very much because the painter would be gone. And now the painter's in the graveyard, or we can get it back with goblins. Ponder no shuffle. Hmm. Okay, well now we have a problem. Do we perhaps want to grindstone him? Because he did ponder keep. Obviously, the number one priority is to engineer for probably a snaring bridge. And maybe at this point we do want a blood moon. Although I might actually prefer not to show him that. Well, so we need to interfere with the possibility that he may get just a bunch of stuff. If he has cephalid, or sorry, nomads either in hand or on the top of the deck, what do we do about that? Really, the only thing we can do is there are two things we can do. We can grindstone, we can crater maker, we can play crater maker and threaten to kill the nomads, which doesn't quite do everything because he can still combo off largely in response. So he can get a bunch of cards, get some lands. Um, if he doesn't have that, if he doesn't have that card, then it doesn't really matter what he does or doesn't have. We definitely want to get the engineer though. We're going to get, or the other thing we can get is Canonist, but I don't think I really want to show him that we're playing Canonist. Um, what do we need? Do we need any, do we need any of this? I think we get the Lantern in case Endurance somehow makes an appearance. And I think we also play the Crater Maker. Not because it's good, but because it at least gives us something. And now, like, okay, I guess by doing this, we're deciding not to grindstone him, which I think makes sense. I think if you had everything with that ponder, then there'd be no reason to tank the way that he did. I would have just slammed it. We may be about to lose, which is really annoying. We have 7 blasts at the deck and only drew 1. I guess there's one reason to leave the Source of Plowshares so we don't have blast for the Nadu. Okay. So this is presumably for, well, but this could just be for a Sword Safekeeper. Oh, Curator. And it's even a 3/3, right? And not that it matters. Okay, so now he's getting the Painter, which means we kind of wish we had a Karn. Um, or an Ensnaring Bridge for that matter. Okay. Well, and this thing is really annoying to beat. Especially since we don't have corn. Um, hmm. We can blast the Nadu in response to something that he casts, which is probably what we're going to end up having to do. And if we're going to win the game from that point, I think it involves Dragon Engine. Now, do we want the Blood Moon? No, I think we'd rather just play the engine. And unfortunately, we're now kind of in a racing situation, and we are not very well equipped to win it. Maybe we blast the Nadu now then? I think we prefer to not to do that if we don't have to, because we could just top deck a Painter. Do we want to try to swap this? No, that's fine. So you have an artifact and a creature exiled with a stupid thing. You get instant sorcery or instant land very soon and make it a 7/7, and I think it has trample. No, it gets trample. Okay. This card is a friggin' nuisance. I think at this point the plan is to either top deck Bridge or top deck Painter. Or Karn. Karn would kind of do it, because then we could at least blast, say, the stupid raccoon. Because it's probably going to get large. We may also want to keep the Crater Maker in reserve, because we may need to kill a Collector Oof. So probably the thing that we end up blocking with, if anything, is Goblin Engineer. Which is kind of ridiculous, but it's what happens when they have the stupid raccoon. Well, he did Zenith for that, and he could have chosen to Zenith for Oof. Plays a Noble Highmark, sure. Okay, interesting to see what he attacks with here. If he's only attacking with this, I think we want to just blast it. And we are taking a risk here that we might just feed him cards. But maybe it's just a land. Nomads. Whoa. Well, we flipping lucked out there. Plays the Nomads, of course. So at the moment, he could activate this thing twice. Can we overpower that? No. Come on, Painter. Ha 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 ha! Yes. So you had your other half of your combo on top of your deck, but I have the other half of mine. That's hilarious. Okay, so everything I was saying about Blood Moon looks kind of silly when he just naturally has 3 basic lands. But anyway, we um, could stand to have the needle. It's not the most important thing in the world. I think we do want the moon effects, though. And I think Karn also is valuable enough that we want it. That we really don't have that many cards to take out. I'm going to take out 2 goblins, 1 Enlightened Tutor, 1 Lotus Petal. Basically, respect for graveyard interaction and Collector Oof. I think we'll leave just the 1 Karn, because I think it is better to have either some mixture of bolts, abrade, and needle. And I do sometimes bring in Canonist against this, but that's really just more to contain them once they start going off, which is not really the way to win that. But they can do things like it stops them from like pondering into a cantrip or something, or like Nadu into Cephalid on the same turn, or Nadu into Nomads on the same turn rather. Um, Maybe it could cut a Spirit Guide. Needle would probably just name nomads all the time, which makes it not all that much different from Bolt. I think, and Bolt does not play into Force of Vigor. We're just going to bring in the 4 bolts. Especially since, well, no, yeah, since we're on the draw, I would like to be able to bolt, say, the stupid Hobbit or the a random nomads if he just plays one out. I'm not really sure we can keep this hand. It's kind of interesting. Um, LED doesn't really do anything. Blasts kind of do things given the matchup, but we're going to have to take down Blastman in order to play this engineer. Without the engineer, this hand does nothing. And if we play the engineer on our turn 2, he could just untap, play Nadu, and we'd be hosed. And if we don't play the engineer, we just hold up blast all the time, then he could just not play the Nadu, and we may still be hosed until we draw a second red source, at which point the hand still doesn't do all that much. We're going to mulligan this. This hand is fantastic. We will definitely keep. And I think we actually bottom the engineer just so we don't walk face first into graveyard interaction. Like this hand can do everything we need. Well, so no, we're going to bottom the Dragon Engine instead, because it's possible that he has a Swords to Plowshares type hand. We can engineer, get the Dragon Engine back, and then have that as a backup for the Painter. Okay. And if he presents us basically anything worth bolting, we'll probably just immediately bolt it on our turn. I'm interested to see if he fetches the basic here. He does. Okay, we may actually take out the Blood Moons if this goes to a game 3. Hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's not exactly something I want to just bolt, but I think we're going to do it anyway. Slows him down and maybe buys us a turn to do something relevant. Ponder. Okay. Okay, so we could potentially be dead as early as next turn. Mox Opal doesn't really allow us to change that, so we're going to assume that we get another turn here. We're going to engineer for we could try to get Grindstone, but I don't think we need to. We have the Painter. We could just get Dragon Engine. I think I'd prefer that because next time we can play the Opal, play the City, play Painter, and then maybe draw our way into a blast if we need to get something. Like the thing here is like if he just has Nadu and combos off, what do we do? What would we like to have in that case? Canonist or Dragon Engine? Probably Canonist. We're gonna get Canonist. We're not going to play out the Mox Opal here because he could have Force of Vigor, and that's something to be concerned about. Now, the argument to get Dragon Engine is if he just sources this thing, but if he does that, then it means we're not dead, and we can maybe just combo out naturally. Ooh, speaking of comboing out naturally, now, so do we play the Painter here? Um, do we play the Painter here? Or do we just make constructs? Opponent's got 4 cards, didn't cast anything. This could be like hard cast Force of Vigor. Do we even play the Painter? We don't actually have to. We don't actually have to. Although, like, we don't get to make constructs if we play the Scalding Tarn. I think one way or another, we're probably going to want to engineer for this. So this might be hardcast force of endurance. Okay, well, I'm glad we got this out of the way now. And since that didn't really do anything, and I kind of like to get the cannons back in the deck, can we afford to make a construct? See, now the problem is that we don't actually have a way to deal with Source of Plowshares. I think we want to make constructs now. And we probably want to get, well, we have to get Grindstone. But if we're not playing the painter here, we're not using the engineer, then we might as well do this. And I think we actually may want to fetch now, just so we don't get caught with our pants down in regards to making constructs. Actually, what we could do is cast the Recruiter here, but I think I would prefer to just make constructs. Well, maybe that was wrong, because we could have recruited for Canonist, but we can also do that next turn, depending on what happens here. Opponent has something, appears. Basic Plains. Oh man, do you just have it? Do you flippin' have it? Whatever. We'll just go to the next game. Could be an argument for Needle, to be perfectly honest. We didn't actually, we saw a bunch of cards. I'm sure there's either Prismatic Ending or Force Negation or both, but we didn't actually see them. I think we will remove the Magus, though, since the opponent has demonstrated a tendency to go get basic lands. Now we are on play. That may change things. Um, Maybe it does change things, to be perfectly honest with you. So I think the basics we've gotten have mostly been fetches. I'd rather not have the needle. I mean, I get that it's kind of an insurance policy, but I'm sure he's got ways to deal with it, and I'd rather have Bolt for the stupid raccoon or Collector Boo for whatnot. And, well, this is an interesting hand if we have a land on top of the deck. If not, then this hand's pretty crappy. And it still loses to Endurance and Force of Will and all that, unless the top card is Ancient Tomb. Now, we could keep this. In fact, we might keep it. Hmm. If he forces the Grindstone, then we don't really have anything going on. If he forces the Painter and we don't have draw, and the top card is an Ancient Tomb or City Traders, then we don't have anything going on. I don't like this. This is fantastic. We'll keep. Um, I mean, he may have an endurance, which is certainly possible, but this is the kind of hand we want to see. Now, unfortunately, we kind of means bottoming the Urza Saga, I suppose, which I don't really want to do. So we have the turn 2 combo, which means we basically only lose to Force, Endurance, or Swords, and we can even do it with Blast Backup if we give up the Urza Saga. If we want to keep the Urza Saga, then we get to play a slower game. But the only way to turn 2 combo is to run out the Painter on turn 1, and I'm not doing that without Blast Backup. Now we could give up the Blast, but that's dumb. I think we bottom the Saga. Opponent has kept 7, play the pedal. play the painter named Blue. And of course, we fight over any form of interaction he has. Interesting to see what he gets here. Probably non-basic I'd actually expect this time. Basic forest. That's not Swords of Plowshares, neither is that. Okay, so it's endurance and force of will. And draw second blast. Can't be dazed. Play Grindstone. Play Ancient Tomb and Grindstone U. All right. That's nice. I think we definitely could have won that second game if we had respected endurance a little bit more. I mean, I didn't actually think about that. I should have. When he passed with 3 mana up and didn't cast removal, we should have anticipated some kind of flash card. I think all of his instants are 1 mana anyway, so anything. I don't think they play anything that costs more than 3 mana. Could be wrong about that, but I don't think so. So like we should have anticipated some flash thing, and endurance should have been at the top of the list. So yeah, we should have anticipated endurance there, and anticipating that, we should have done the play I described, where he play the City of Traders first, then play the Opal, let him respond if he wants to, and then go for it. Now the problem with that is that if he has a green card to pitch, then we still don't really get anywhere with the canonist, but it also may not matter because if he doesn't do anything, we just painter combo him out the following turn. So we did mess up there, and we got punished for it because the opponent had the thing, but we also did correctly identify that canonist was the thing to get. I mean, I suppose if we'd had Pithing Needle in the deck, we could have gone for it in that spot instead of the canonist, and it would have been much the same thing. But the canonist is better if he doesn't have the combo, and Pithing Needle is a lot better, of course, if he does. But I think canonist is still passable because it means that he can't cast both the creatures in the same turn, and that's good enough. That buys us a turn. And if he wants to source it, then okay, then I guess he can combo off as well. But that was an additional mana, an additional card that he has to have right there. So I think it's fine to get the canonist there. Anyway, well, so we're now 2-0, looking good, and we'll be back for round 3 later. Here for round 3, and this hand is crap, so we'll mulligan. Well, yeah, it's crap. We'll mulligan. We could turn 1 out the Goblin Engineer, but there's no real point in doing that. Here we could turn 2 out Goblin Engineer, and I think, I mean, this hand leaves some things to be desired. We certainly want to have a land on top of the deck, but we're already kind of on a mulligan 6 here, and I don't know if we really want to go to 5 against a hand that has a path to both sides of the combo, recursion, interaction, tutor effect. So we're just going to bomb the Dragon Engine and roll with this. We have basically 2 draw steps to find the land to go with this Urza Saga, and we had a decision to make. Ah, interesting. Another Saga deck. Interesting indeed. Could still be Painter, though, but probably is Forge. Ah, Goblin, Soultide Lantern. Yeah, I mean, this could be Painter. Could be a Mirror. So far, we haven't seen anything to rule that out. Blue. Oh, I'm an idiot. We probably should have counted that, but we'll let him mill stuff. So he milled a bunch of emeries, and this is cast, right? Yeah, so he can't actually get the Seated Simon back. We're gonna wait. Because I suspect we need to blast something else. Now, between Emery and the Soul Guide Lantern, maybe this Goblin Engineer isn't worth that much, and maybe we should have considered that. I'm also kind of expecting a Pithing Needle. So I think what we'll do here, we're going to gamble on him not having a Force of Will. We're going to play Saga Painter and let him do stuff, because I suspect we're going to need to blast a Pithing Needle that comes out of his Urza Saga and then go off. And if he does force it, I mean, he gets to recast the Soul Guide Lantern for free, which is kind of annoying. But we can then follow up with City for Recruiter for second Painter, and then maybe go again. I mean, we had the option to play City and then have Pyroblast to protect this Painter, but we don't need it. Okay. Well, that rules out the Pyroblast, at least for now. Um, Probably just making a construct here, I'd imagine. Yeah, and ruling out the Pyroblast is actually a pretty big game because now we're going to have to. Well, I mean, not necessarily. Assuming that he actually does get a Pithing Needle, we're going to have to find some other way of getting it off the board. We have only one card on the deck here. That is not really what we wanted to draw. But it may actually be okay. Crater Maker not useful anymore because Painters makes the Chalice blue. So I guess we're kind of hoping that he either doesn't have a Pithing Needle, which would be amazing, or that we find our Karn. So towards finding the Karn, we probably could stand to play out this Recruiter or play out the Engineer. I think we'll probably Engineer. Now we're just going to get some random thing out of the deck, probably the Mox Opal. And then drop this. What do we have? I mean, I don't want to draw it, but it's certainly going away. I guess the other thing here is that he can't actually recast the lantern if he decides to crack it, but we're putting this into the graveyard. If he wants to crack his lantern, and that's just going to be something I have to deal with. Arguably getting punished here for. I mean, if we had held up the ability to blast, we could have stopped this chalice, but then we would still not be able to deal with the presumed Pithing Needle that's going to come out here because we wouldn't have the Power Blast at all. We would have the option to possibly draw a different one, but we don't really have that now. It's also possible we screwed up here by not just making a construct because like we will need to chump. This engineer is not worth much. We're chumping with it, but we're going to also have to chump with something else. Probably the recruiter. I have at various times considered putting on an Embereth Shield Breaker. Wow, it's not Pithing Needle, and he's playing this out instead of casting it. What is going on? Does he have another one? Does it matter if he does? Wow, what is going on? Well, I guess this doesn't give it Thing Trample, right? Haste Moon. I guess we'll chump with the thing that we expect to chump with, and since we have the City Traders and he's doesn't has only one card in hand, and it can't be Force of Will and it can't be Daze, and we have the City Traders, so we're gonna get the Grindstone, play the Painter, name blue, play City of Traders and Grindstone you. All right, so this is actually a deck where we want the Karn, we want the Abrade, we don't want the Canonist, of course. I don't think we really need the Blood Moon effects here. It would be one thing if they still killed Urza Saga because we could deal with that by that way, but I don't think we really need that. Um, we could argue for the Pithing Needle, but I don't think it's really necessary. We could even argue for a Search Coil since we've seen Emery, and there'll certainly be that. I think I like Portable Hole in the main because we may need to, say, engineer for it to weld it into play to get rid of the chalice. We presume there are 4 chalices, of course. We don't think we really need the lantern. And at this point, we can kind of bring in anything that feels reasonable. I think the needle seems good. We can trim on Enlightened Tutor and bring in Bolt for. I mean, we don't, I think, really need the lightning bolt, but I am actually kind of trying to move away from things that cost 1, but we just can't really do that and also play cards that matter. Um, I'm gonna keep the bolt because I might want to kill an Emery. Bolt over Enlightened Tutor. I mean, this could easily be wrong. It may be that second Enlightened Tutor is better, but especially since we're on the draw, like I may want to kill something and not spend a blast to do it. That may end up being dumb, but we're going to do it. Okay. And we are on the draw, and we have another hand that is crap. If a top card of our deck is a land, especially if it's a fetch land, this hand could be quite good. Um, but having an Ancient Tomb, maybe it's okay, but I think we just have to mulligan this. We don't have nearly enough mana. This hand is probably just going to be crap. We need to draw Painter, we blast some random things, and we have our Grindstone lined up. But let's say that he has Chalice on 1. This hand does absolutely nothing of note. Opponent has kept 6. Um, I mean, if Painter is in the top 2 cards of the deck, we can win. In fact, if Painter's on top, we can win on turn 1. I think if we keep this hand, what's going to happen is that we're just going to get run over by constructs. Yeah, this hand's great. We're going to bottom, I think, the... kind of want to keep all the lands. The Welder is going to be extremely good against him. We probably do want the Blast. I think we can bottom the Needle and one of the lands. Like, we are leaving ourselves a long ways to go to get the Karn, but if we just keep if we just keep 3 1-mana lands and say the Welder, like, I'm not sure we can win with just this, but we have a Blast to stop some of his other stuff. That could be worthwhile. Okay, we'll do this. Karn is usually pretty good in this matchup. One thing I did realize or mention is that we can be pretty sure this guy is not playing Painter Combo himself. Otherwise, he would have gotten Grindstone instead of the Lava Spur Boots. So this is probably just like a blue-white, or maybe, well, not necessarily white, blue-red, I guess. So we get a Thought Monitor and that thing. I think that's good enough for me to want to fight over the... Well, is it? Could he cast this? Yeah, actually, he could warp it and then get it back in. I think this is good enough reason to blast the Emery. Destroy target permanent. Yeah, I thought so. Yes, Urza's Bobble, Mishra's Bobble. So we're going to definitely play this Welder. Oh, interesting. So he's bolting this out, huh? To play Lava's Peruse. Oh, yeah, nice. You can equip to that and then get stuff back. Okay, yeah, this is kind of neat. We would like to draw an Ancient Tomb so I can play this card in a couple turns. In the meantime, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Not quite enough for Thought Monitor yet, but it could come out next turn. Cast the Mishra's Bobble, sure. Okay, so that's something he knows about. Play Welder. Play Parlor. Grindstone. I think we're actually going to mill that. We are looking for Ancient Tomb or City of Traders. There's an argument to keep that so we can start welding the portable hole in and out, but I think we're going to be welding out his stuff. Oh, wow. Is this a Dismember on the Goblin Welder? It is. That's kind of amusing. This might be Thought Monitor. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, it could be Thought Monitor. It could also just be the Pinnacle thing. Going for Thought Monitor. Makes sense. Yeah, I mean, if the top card of our deck is Ancient Tomb, like, we can still get this even against the 2 creatures, although it's going to be difficult. It's probably going to involve going for a Snaring Bridge at some point. Yeah, the mulligan to 5 and the fact that we're kind of pinched on mana here is going to make stuff difficult. Ah, okay, that's one thing. Now, we could recruit for Simian Spirit Guide here. Guarantee that we can cast this Karn. Could also get another Welder. I don't want to get a Simian Spirit Guide. I think that telegraphs to him that there's something coming up, and we're just going to get. Actually, maybe we want to get Engineer to try and get Dragon Engine. Where's it? Does he have? Oh, well, there's a Tormod script in the graveyard, right? Oh, I thought there was. I guess he saw the Mishra's Bauble. So he's got a Bauble, or a Mishra's Bauble, an Urza's Bauble, a Mox Opal, and stuff. No Tormod's Crypt, at least not yet. Will you have seen Lantern? Hmm. We're gonna get the Engineer. Game is getting away from us now. We can exile some of these tokens permanently with the Portable Hole, and then Engineer to get the Dragon Engine back and draw some cards that way. In the meantime, we take some damage. Not that much, but enough to matter. The opponent already knows two of our three cards, so we'll see if we end up showing him the Karn. Okay, he's just making a bunch of tokens, which is good. Like if this is followed up with an Urza Saga, we may have a real problem. Reveals the Portable Hole, which he already knew about. So the Karn is still safe. He will get to draw two cards, which could be. Yeah, we're not going to block here. We're going to. I mean, at this point, the Karn may just die, and we may be forced to go get a Searing Bridge. Hmm. Not what I want to be doing with this card. I think we might actually have to go get a Searing Bridge here. Does that matter? I mean, it may not actually matter all that much, really. We take twos until we get stuff out of our hand, but we're going to get it. Now, the opponent having a second Emery was definitely pretty good for him, and the fact that we have more than 5 has not helped. Now up to 4 cards in hand, could go up to 6 if he wants it on the next turn. It's possible that these decks might have boarded out Force of Will, but I certainly wouldn't expect that. This looks like a Kappa Cannoneer. Or there could be a War of Invention, which would be kind of amusing. Kappa Cannoneer. Haven't seen this card in a while. So if we get our bridge and the bridge stays in play, I think we'll be fine. Now, he could move the boots over here, which would be a problem, but not a fatal problem, so we can just jump here, take a bunch of damage, and then slam the bridge, which doesn't even have to use the stack because we have the engineer. Yeah, well, I think we're going to end up being dead to tokens unless, well, you draw an LED. Maybe we should have gotten rid of the boots. I thought about getting rid of the boots instead of one of the tokens because it's 1 damage either way just from the power effect. Oh, hey, nice. Does this allow us to do everything? We go to 2, but we don't have a way to get the painter out of our hand. We can't get both cards out. Hmm. I would prefer not to show him the Karn because I'm not sure we can get this game anyway. Yeah, we're just going to go to the next game. And, well, we're going to play the painter. There's no reason for him to Force of Will this, but if he does, that at least tells us that Force of Will is still in the deck. Okay. Force pitching force. Interesting. Okay. We're just going to go to the next game then. Karn stuck in our hand is not where we want it to be. Now, especially now that we have seen the little red thing that makes tokens, I am more interested in the Lightning Bolt. And I don't think we really need a Lightning Tutor in this matchup. It's not the worst thing to have, but and honestly, like a Pithing Needle probably could come up because even just naming Emery solves certain problems for us. Um, I think we do want the Portable Hole mostly to answer constructs, but also for other reasons. We're going to try to just not more than 5 this game. And for the third game in a row, we have an opening 7 that is complete crap, so we will mulligan. This hand is probably also crap. But what we do get to do is, like, this is a very reactive hand. We probably bottom the Spirit Guide so that we have all of our lands, and we're going to go Foothills, blast something if we really need to. If not, we're going to go get the Parlor and try to get in some action. Honestly, like, I don't like it, but it's better than mulliganing to 5, so we're going to keep. And we do have an Urza Saga, which may allow us to play. Bottom of Spirit Guide. Our opponent has also mulliganed to 6. If he just plays an Emery, I may leave it in play because we'll have the option to either abrade or blast it on our own turn. And I think getting the Surveil would be valuable. We're going to blast this. So we're going to lose our Surveil, but I don't want to allow this to hit play because he could have just a bunch of baubles and pull way too far ahead. Looks like he does not, though, which is reassuring. Oh, wonderful. All right, play Urza Saga. And we're going to go ahead and play out the Petal. It doesn't really matter. I doubt he's going to put Chalice on 0 or anything. I guess it's possible he has a card of his own, but I don't think I kind of doubt it. I don't see that there's much of a need for him to play that card. There's the bauble that I was sure he had. Oh, interesting. So he was warping this out. Yeah, I mean, if he's warping it out, then there's no way he doesn't just have a bunch of baubles. And he may have a Kappa Cannoneer here. Thoughtcast. Yeah, I mean, I'd rather have blasted the Thoughtcast and bolted this thing. Tokens or no tokens. Like now he's about to draw a bunch of cards, and we have a bunch of like spot removal that's kind of conditional, and we didn't even get our Surveil. Now we can get a Grindstone, and we can draw a Painter, but we're going to have to resolve it after he drew a bunch of crap. So I'm not exactly enthusiastic about this. Abrade and Plateau. And he knows the top card as well. Which is an Imperial Recruiter. Okay, now that's something we can use. I think we want to do it now so that if we draw a land, we can just slam the Painter Survey that we're definitely going to get here. Now, there is an argument to get Welder or Engineer. Probably Welder, so we can play it this turn. Weld out his crap. Oh, yeah, and this is getting forced. Wonderful. Now we're going to get one construct, and our opponent has his own constructs. So things are going to get interesting now, especially if there's a Kappa Cannoneer anywhere in the near future. We're going to have a hard time beating that. Although I suppose if we can get enough mana and then blow it up with an Abrade, this is a reason not to get an Engineer. And there's the Emery, which we're now going to have to blast. And if we don't draw a land, that's going to take us off of our construct. Opponent has one additional card here to cast. Chalice on 1. Okay. I think what we do here is we go get a Pithing Needle. Okay, so we have the option here to make a construct if we give up the Lotus Petal in one form or another. And the problem is, like, I want to kill the Emery, which means either abrading it or abrading the Chalice and then bolting the Emery, which requires double red. So I think what we may actually do here is get a Pithing Needle, name Urza Saga, blow up all his stuff, and then he has random draws and Soul Guide Lantern to try to get back in the game. And then we have our own top decks. At that hand point, we're both empty-handed. The alternative is just make one random construct. I suppose we could make a random construct, get Pithing Needle, and that just allows him to have one turn of active Emery. That basically gives him one additional draw step and gives me a construct. Well, that might actually be okay. If we get Needle here, we have a construct, but it's only a 2/2 and not likely to get that much bigger. I think we're just going to blow everything up. Destroy the Chalice. The Emery. And we are going to not play this because we only have one card in hand. So if we draw 2 lands, we can play either in other order. This way we get to bluff having a blast. And we just hope that he draws garbage. Speaking of drawing garbage, opponent's realizing that the Saga is needled. As expected, cashes that in, which I like to see. Interesting to see what he gets here. If he does get a needle of his own, does he get, yeah, boots? That makes sense. Random bauble. Random Emery. Okay, that was very well timed. But it may not matter because he probably just has everything, probably has another one. Okay, that's nice. We might be able to get something going now. Now, he's probably just going to cast the needle out of the graveyard, and then we're right back to where we were, but maybe he forgets that it's there. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe we should have moved into 5, because we're not getting anywhere with this. Oh, a Mox Opal. This has got to be a Kappa Cannoneer. I mean, I could also be like a Thought Monitor or something, but I don't know why I get Mox Opal here instead of Needle. But maybe it's possible he doesn't realize I can weld out his stuff with the Goblin Welder. He just sees me with no artifacts in the graveyard. Thoughtcast. Okay. Maybe he just has a Dismember. Again. I mean, on the bright side, you can tell that I'm developing my psychic abilities. I keep naming exactly the card the opponent has. We're going to cast it because we don't have anything else going on. Okay, Saga Needle is still on Saga, so maybe I don't know. I mean, if he doesn't play any creatures to the board here, maybe we can get somewhere by pushing combat damage. But I'd really like to draw some non-garbage. Like all in all, like yeah, the draws have been a little bit subpar because they have lined up poorly against the opponent and all of his like thought casts and things. Target Mishra's Bauble, interesting choice. Um, but yeah, whatever. Our opponent deck, I imagine, mulligans pretty well because they've got all these things that are redraws or thought cast. It's basically just a draw two for one. This looks like a Kappa Cannoneer, so we're probably hosed. Maybe, yeah, Kappa Cannoneer. Yeah, we're probably hosed, and he has the flipping boots thing as well. Oh, just a Thought Monitor? Sure. We can attack into that, fortunately enough. And we're at a high enough life total that we probably win any race that shows up. He could equip and attack, but then we still get him for 4. And come to think of it, I mean, we actually lost the previous game because of the Karn, because we weren't able to cast it and also put Bridge in play. Kappa Cannoneer, what do you know? This time we can get Bridge and get our hand empty. So that's what we're going to do. Our opponent has tapped out 1 card in hand. Make sure we click the right card here. Ensnaring Bridge. Play the Ancient Tomb, crack this. Now, it's possible that the opponent's last card is Soporific Springs, and he can, or Stink into Stupor rather, and he can just bounce the stupid thing. And if he doesn't use the Emery to get back the Needle and Needle with the Karn, then I don't know what's wrong with him. We are at least safe from immediate death, and we're still just waiting for him to draw into, yeah, name's Karn. Waiting for to hopefully not draw into the Sink into Stupor. How many does he have been milled? None have been milled. 1 is in play. We draw a Goblin Engineer. Does he have a Soul Guide Lantern? He does. So we're just going to get some random thing that we don't want, like this Lotus Petal, I think. We have a Lotus Petal already, though. Um, but we're going to get it just to get it out of the deck. Actually, well, I mean, again, like what I really would have liked to do there is to get Portable Hole because I'm sure he's going to get back this Chalice. Well, I'm not sure. He probably gets the Lantern first and then gets the Chalice. Um, cast Aether Spellbomb, sure. So that could bounce the Engineer, and then we have to replay it. Maybe and we can cast anything in the deck at least once, but then once these Ancient Tombs get us too low, we're not going to be able to use those, and our hand might get jammed up. Thought Monitor. Okay. So it looks like he's digging for um, Soporific Springs, or maybe already has it. That's good. So this means that if we get another turn of him getting something other than Soul Guide Lantern, we can send out the Dragon Engine on his end step and then bring it back in, which is a risky play to draw 3 cards under present circumstances. But we do need to get something going here sooner rather than later. Also worth noting that a lot of his mana is turned off because of the Karn, and the Karn's probably going to stay in play. Yeah, I didn't consider that. Grindstone is nice. We might actually grindstone him if we get enough non-ancient tomb mana, because he's only at 17 cards left, and there are certain things that we want him not to draw. If we resolve Painter here, we can probably win. The opponent taking here, I'm not sure if it's a good sign or a bad sign. If he had the Sink into Stupor, then it's just a matter of do you have the land or not. Okay, it goes for the Soul Guide Lantern. Oh, so that's turned off by the Karn, so he's only going to get 1 use out of it here. Or just the trigger. Now, this assumes he doesn't have a way to deal with the Karn, and it's possible that he does. Chalice on 1. That is expected. Now, that does mean that the Soul Guide Lantern is not coming back. Okay, we are going to go ahead and get a Lotus Petal for our Dragon Engine. And we're not going to upkeep Engine here. Ooh, Painter. Nice. I guess either way, it's cost 4. We have to tap both Ancient Tombs. Well, we don't have to. We could spend the Lotus Petal. So we're going to play our Painter here. And it can't be Dismembered because he has no mana. It has to be Force of Will, and if so, we can get it with the Goblin Engineer. That's hilarious. I thought almost for sure we were going to lose that game, but as Karn often does against 8-cast, it saved the day. And at this time, because we were able to cast it and get our hand empty and get the bridge. So, yeah. So we are now 3-0. We'll be back for round 4. Play for round 4. I do recognize this person, but I has played all sorts of things. I think last one was some kind of a blue-green Omnitel. This hand, like every other 7-card hand that we've seen, is probably crap. The fact that this is in the hand is not really what we want to see. We could enlighten tutor for something. Now, this could be a Blood Moon hand if we really want to do that. It could also be like a reasonable Painter hand. Now, if our opponent's playing Thoughtseize, his hand is hilarious. Like if we draw 1 land, we're probably hosed. And if we draw Blood Moon, we kind of mess up the Urza Saga plan, and we don't get to Surveil. And maybe we don't really want Blood Moon anyway. I think we're going to mulligan this. There's just too much air. And now we draw this hand that is actually kind of amusing because we can do some pretty cool stuff here. We play the Petal. We can... Yeah, I mean, this hand is awkward, and there's definitely the possibility for things to go wrong. But we can ET for Painter, and then we have Painter, Grindstone, 3 mana, and probably double Construct along with it. And if the top card of our deck is a Mountain, then we may even be able to do this with Blast Backup. So we're going to keep bottom one of the things we can't cast. And we can even say protect this Grindstone if we want to give up the low spell to do so, which I don't think we will. I think we will not protect the Grindstone because the Saga could go get it anyway. Even if the Saga gets Wastelanded, we're still in actually pretty reasonable shape. Ah, Winter Heath, not something you see every day. So this could be a prismatic ending, which would be highly annoying. If so, we're just going to make constructs for a while and sit back. Basic Forest. So this is beginning to look like a Nadu deck. Maybe a Delighted Halfling here. Ah, Spirit Guide. Could be 12 post. Well, they don't play 12 anymore. Utopia Sprawl. Well, well, well. If this is actually Enchantress, I am going to be pleased. I have not seen that deck in a long time. Leonin Arbiter. Players can't search libraries. Huh. I guess we're going to go ahead and Enlighten Tutor, since we're not going to get to do it otherwise. Put a painter on top. And I think we're just going to put him to the test here. We have the Grindstone. You have to deal with the Painter Servant right now. Yeah, otherwise, I don't know if we even get to cast it. And we'll see if he has swords or a prismatic or even like a pithing needle. Everything is possible with this start. This does not look like Enchantress, but there are plenty of things that could be that would be a big problem for us. The fact the opponent is not immediately conceding is, of course, not a good sign. Taiga could even be a lightning bolt now. Yeah, well, oh, okay, so he had to pay mana to use that. Interesting. Wow. We are going to just float mana and not pay. Wow, I mean, this was definitely quite the hand. Like, we definitely wheedle our way out. Now, if this is an endurance, I will force it. Or I'll blast it. Force it. Okay, I have no idea what's going on here. Fetch lands and Leonin Arbiter in the same deck is kind of interesting. We've seen green, white, and red. And Utopia Sprawl, but not Enchantress. I think if it were Enchantress, you would have seen some kind of weird draw effect. I don't know what's going on. I don't. But we saw Basic Forest as well, and we did see Taiga. Made me a little bit less interested in the Blood Moon. This seems like a deck that might play Endurance. Honestly, I wonder if we just present the same 60 and say, forget it. If it's Enchantress, we might actually want the Canonist. But I think we're going to operate on the presumption that it is some form of small creature deck. And we have seen Leonin Arbiter. I'm sure there's more than one. So I think I would like to shave a little bit on the things that require us to search and bring in an Abrade, because you may have some weird artifact, and a couple of bolts. There might be an argument for bringing in the Karn. I don't really know, because we don't know where we're going. So we don't, well, again, we're going to bring in the Karn. Because this might be a game that kind of goes long, where he has some weird exiling effect, and Karn tends to be good in that situation. I think we can get rid of the Canonist and bring in another bolt. The only thing I'm really confident in is that this is some kind of small creature deck, or a relatively small creature deck, maybe. I think I'm okay with warding out the moon effects. Could be an argument for Portable Hold to exile some weird enchantment that might pop up, but without knowing what exactly that is, I don't think I really want to gamble. We have Painter Blast to deal with most things. Soul Guide Lantern I'm keeping because he may have Endurance, and it's even possible he may have an Emrakul, for all I know. So we're going to see what's up here. Let's see if we can keep our 7-card hand. We could try to keep this. But I don't think it's worth it. Like, we're vulnerable to a lot of things. We're vulnerable to Wasteland. The Enlightened Tutor basically has to get Painter for this hand to even be meaningful. But then we spend our Lotus Petal to do it, and we spend our red mana every turn to just blast random things. And if we guess wrong, we may just lose. I think we can do better than this. Yeah, like this is better. This is considerably better. We could even bottom a painter here, and I think we might. But it might be better to bottom the opal. The reason I would like to keep the opal is that if the painter survives, then we get the grindstone and we have our 3 mana to activate. And if worse comes to worse, we can play painter, painter, play mox opal. But then we have to give up one of these things, and I think our opponent has cap 7. Not knowing what the guy's playing, I think I'd rather have redundant cards rather than speculative cards. And the speculative card in this hand is mox opal. So we can try to draw some more lands. We don't really need to worry about holding up blast at the moment anyway, which is the other thing that opal might allow us to do because we only have 2 painters. And this is why we board out the Blood Moon, because he has this thing and another Spirit Guide. So this could be the same thing that we saw, Leonin Arbiter on turn 1. Good thing we don't have any fetches in this hand. Oh, this time chooses red. Interesting. And no play. Not what we want to see. Mountain Pass. This is a matchup where having a liquid metal coating in the sideboard might actually be highly relevant. I mean, he is playing enchant lands. It is possible that this is some kind of like Minsk and Boo type thing. That would explain what we're seeing. Fable and Mirrorbreaker, yeah, that also explains what we're seeing. Could bolt this. Ancient Tomb. I am definitely concerned about the possibility of a Minsk and Boo. I think what we'll do here, we'll just play the Saga and hold up our interaction. We don't really need to do a whole lot here. If the opponent just does nothing, we can abrade the token on his end step, but I suspect there'll be something more than just that. Keeping the bolt, because the bolt we can respond to the hamster trigger off of a Minsk and kill the Planeswalker, which is the important thing. I also want to deprive him of information when he makes this discard here, assuming he discards anything. Mentor of the Meek, huh? So this is definitely a small creature deck, but it's interesting to see that he's giving up this card. As our opponent has access to 6 mana now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mana, excuse me. There's a lot that could be. Wow. Nothing, huh? I don't like blowing up the Goblin token like this, but maybe it will get something out of him. And I certainly don't want him making copies of it. And I think this turn we are either playing the Painter or maybe playing a Karn. This looks to me like a Swords to Plowshares, but it could also be a Force of Vigor. Hardcast Force of Vigor would make some sense here. So I think what we may actually end up doing is just play out both Painters. If it's Force of Vigor, we get a Construct, we get a Grindstone, and we have to somehow reassemble. The other alternative would be to just play the Karn and then try to do everything all at once next turn. Because we get the Grindstone off the Painter, we get the Grindstone off the Saga, rather. Well, actually, what we can do is we can get, say, a Lotus Petal off the Saga, Karn for Grindstone, and then play the Grindstone. I think I might actually prefer to take this opportunity. So there is a possibility of hardcast Endurance, which could threaten the Karn. That is consistent with what we're seeing. But do we care? Because it gets the Endurance out of his hand, and if it means we have the Grindstone, so the thing I want to not do is just walk face first into Force of Vigor. I think we are just going to play out both Painters, though. I think we're going to be walking into something here, one way or another. Name blue. Play out the other one. And this lets us play through one removal spell. You know, it occurred to me maybe we don't actually want to be naming blue here. Yeah, he may have a Power Blast. We did see Tiger last game. And if this is a hard cast Force of Vigor, then we lose both Painters possibly and get a Construct. One Lightning Bolt. Anything else? No. Interesting. And we are taking down our Minsk protection to do this, but I don't think if all he has is a Minsk, I think we'll be okay. We probably just win the game. But we are definitely telegraphing hard that we're about to go get a Grindstone, so it's possible that he does something extravagant here. What the heck? Oh, that's funny. And the fact that the painter goes into exile actually works in our favor because now we can get it back with the Karn and then cast it. Now we do have to start worrying about things because he can copy this. And what the hell does Ravenous mean? Hmm. What do we get here? Do we actually in fact get Grindstone? I think so. The opponent has 0 cards in hand, so what we see is what we have to deal with. What is Ravenous? That's the thing that allows him to sacrifice counters. This thing, artifact creature or land on the battlefield deals 2 damage, maybe it's not a mana ability. So we take 2 extra to Grindstone him. But we can't let him start making copies. So we're going to play the Karn, we're going to get the Painter, we're going to lose the Karn, in all likelihood. We go to 12 to do so, then we go to 10 to activate. Oh man, I don't know. Maybe we screwed up here. Because if he doesn't go after the Karn, and goes after me instead, we could be at too low of a life total to combo out. Maybe we should have taken this thing, but then he would just make copies of this, and that would... What the hell is Ravenous? Get the Painter that conveniently went into exile. And we win the game next turn, but we take 6 damage to do so, and he could just put me to 6. I guess if he does that, we can blast one of these things and then try to get out of the game with Karn, but he knows that we have the combo, so we might not actually attack the Karn at all. That would be the correct play. We'll see if he does it. Yep, okay, he is correctly going at me. And now we have a bit of a problem. Um, we do. What I think we might actually want to do here is draw a land so that we can play Painter and then Karn for Bridge. Hardcast Spirit Guide. Okay, if that's all that this is, I think we can win it. It's going to be difficult, but I think we can do it. Opal. I think that also allows us to do it. Yeah. Okay, and we're going to get Tormod's Crypt with the Karn in case he's got an Emrakul in the deck. So we're going to go to 4, play the Painter, name blue, blast the Mentor, play the Opal, Karn for Crypt, play Crypt, and we have 1/2 plus Opal mana gives us what we need. Name blue, cast the Opal. Destroy target permanent if it is blue. Destroy the Mentor. Get Tormod's Crypt. Play Tormod's Crypt. Grindstone you. And I want to see what he has. Molochs, Harshmentor, Arbiter. And what the hell is that? Duskana the Rage Mother. What the heck? Draw a card for each creature in control with base power times 2/2. Ah, now I understand. Okay. So we were right to bring in bolts. Magus of the Moon, even. Interesting. Gadok Teague. Yeah, Collector Oof, of course. Breakout. What the heck is that? Of the top 6, reveal creature. Oh, that's kind of neat. So it's kind of a miniature collecting company for one creature, but it gives it haste. Neat. Never seen it before. Deafening Silence is there. Leonard Arbiter as we expected. Huh. Well, I've never seen a deck like this before, but I guess the thing is the bear lord, the bear queen. All right, so we will be back for round 5. We are now 4-0. We're on play for round 5 against Strifo of Control Pile fame. And this hand might actually be pretty good against Control Pile, but again, we have drawn the Parlor, and I'd rather that it be in the deck. This hand is basically leaning entirely on Urza Saga, and the real question I think is, do we want to blast something on turn 1? I suspect the answer is no. Like this hand is trying to stick Urza Saga and make it large and win the game that way. And to do that, it means that we are not going to be able to blast at certain times. So this hand kind of has some tension there. And I don't really think we're going to draw an H2. And we're also, like, the constructs may only be 1, 2, 3, 4 4s at best anyway. I got the Parlor or something else, and we can go get it with this. I might keep, but we're playing a turn 1. I don't know. I don't think this is really quite that spectacular, but I think we'll try it. I don't really like to mulligan too low, and like 4/4 constructs could potentially get there. Kind of doubt it, but it depends on what our opponent is actually doing. The other thing we could do is try to save this until later in the game, which now that I think about it, I kind of like that plan better. At the moment, we don't know really what we need with the Parlor, so I don't really want to just go running it out. Another basic forest. What the hell? Interesting. So this is kind of like a weird Deathrite Shaman thing. And we're going to leave that uncracked. Okay, now we're going to play that. We're going to reveal to our opponent what we are playing. Although he could think that we're playing Storm or something, but we are in fact playing Painter. We're going to get a basic mountain here and run out this Welder. I'm going to play a Saga. Now this could be some kind of like a lands deck. It'd be a little bit odd. It doesn't look like lands. What the? Okay. Nice, and that actually works with this very well. Okay. So he's going to be drawing a bunch of cards. We might actually consider like blasting this. We could blast that too. Like, and this is the problem with like the Saga hand, is if we want to be blasting things, we're not making constructs. And like we probably should have, if that's the plan, we probably should have just like blasted the construct and made a blasted this thing and made that immediately. But I think we'll just play this Painter Servant that we top decked. Very conveniently top decked, I might add. Name Blue. And we have 2 blasts to get our way through this. So basically, I think if we don't get Wasteland, it will be in decent shape. No Wasteland, unless he's got some weird thing. Could be an Uro. Uro would make sense. We're going to blast that because we're not blasting anything else if we don't. This could be Swords of Plowshares on Painter, which would be moderately annoying. But we could get it back with the Goblin by giving up the Petal. He also may just be trying to draw a card here. Fortunately, the Blast will still counter the Teferi one way or another. Swords on the Painter. Hmm. Nice. Okay, so interesting. This is very interesting to me. This looks like Bant Control-ish thing with the bird that draws cards. And there's got to be some kind of synergy with that. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a life alone. We're going to leave in the Blood Moon effects. We've seen white cards. I think we'll bring in the second card. We're going to keep the Canonist. We can trim on some of the white cards and some of the fast mana, although we do have we are bringing stuff in. I think I don't know if we want a braid, but since I'm sure that bird will still be in the deck, I think we could stand to have the bolt. Now we could do surgical. We'll do a surgical here. And I imagine he has endurance, so we're going to keep the lantern. We could also try to bring in second canonist, but I don't think we need to go that hard if we expect to be blood mooning him. Now it's also worth noting, I think he did play a bunch of basic lands, but we also saw some fetches. And I don't know what he's doing exactly, so we're just going to hedge and keep in our cards that could just give us free wins. I guess that hand was good after all. This hand might be okay. So this time we get to do the surveil thing when we want to, and they probably are going to end up blasting a bird. Yeah, we'll keep. Okay, so there's the. I expect a bird. So I think we're going to just. We could try to surveil, and then if he doesn't do anything. Honestly, now I'm looking at this again, like I think the blood moons might not be worthwhile. Like if he lands this thing, they don't really do very much. And he already has the basic land here. So this could be a Teferi, it could be the bird. If it's the bird, we're going to blast it on the way down. Yeah, we're going to blast that on the way down. Getting a mountain because he may have wastelands. Okay, so we got the bird. And he's choosing not to exile anything. What do we get here? Do we hold up the blast again? Yeah. That bird got blasted way too easily. Mills of Brainstorm. There's definitely going to be some Loam or Earl shenanigans going on here, I'm quite sure. I'm going to blast that too. Counter target spell, blast it. Right. It's an interesting choice. So now that we're out of blasts, we are going to start playing things. I think we may actually want to get Dragon Engine here. I mean, there's almost no way. I mean, it's possible we kept a hand that doesn't have Source of Plowshares. But the risk with our current hand is that we just draw a whole lot of nothing. And I don't want that to happen. And he may just, I wouldn't be surprised if there's a Source of Plowshares here. Because he has the mana, of course. And you may also have an Endurance. In this case, we get to bait that out very efficiently, in fact. The thing is, like, I just don't really expect this Engineer to survive. So I'd like to get the Dragon Engine, which is more self-contained. Yeah. Yep, okay, so we got the Source of Plowshares out of him and queued up our Dragon Engine, and our painters are protected. If we draw a land, we can maybe do some interesting things. Yeah, I'm not really sure Bridge is what we want in this matchup, but we may just slam it and make him deal with it. The opponent's down to 2 cards in hand, which is what I like to see. 2 cards, 3 lands, kind of 4 lands, but I thought so. I thought so. Didn't hit a land though, so he's got 3 non-land cards. That is a great thing to draw. Um, do you want to play the bridge? Yeah, I think so. Because I don't really care that much about it. If he wants to fight over it, that's fine. If not, we still get the Urza Saga. And what I'd like to set up for is being able to just play double painter and make him find 2 removal spells. Yeah, okay, the bridge resolved. So if maybe he has Force of Vigor here, that could be bad, but Mill Swords, nice. Okay, so now we've found his draw engine and a land. So stuff could start getting interesting here. This has to exile a land from his graveyard, though, and he doesn't have one. Wait, what? Oh, exile any card. Well, that's interesting. So he just wanted to draw. Nice. Now, can we play this card? And are we about to get Force of Vigor? We can play the Karn and then get something and then it will die. I think we'd rather play the Painters first, because if we get Karn behind Bridge, I think that's going to be better for us over the long term. I mean, this is either the opponent has nothing or he has Force of Vigor and then we're about to get blown out. That's hilarious. So that explains it. So we could blow up everything here, including the Urza Saga, which is actually kind of neat. I'm not going to lie. Um, okay. Crack the deed, wipe the board. Okay. We have a Dragon Engine, we have a Karn, we can maybe cast if we draw land. Good thing we didn't play this Opal, although this might actually be better off out of the deck at this point. Our opponent's about to get an Uro back, which is highly troublesome. Well, actually, he can't get it back unless he has another blue land. Zenith for 3, interesting. Could be an Endurance. I think we are going to keep the Moon effects in. And you see, like, this is the situation that I don't really like about Karn. Now, granted, like, the Pernicious Deed was, like, unusual. Maybe you should have only played 1 painter there. I don't know. Wow, for that, that's what you got, huh? Yes, land. We're going to get a Tormod's Crypt and wipe his graveyard if this resolves. I really don't want him getting an Uro. Don't really want him brainstorming either. So what do we have in the sideboard that could be relevant here? We have Canonus, we have a backup Bridge, we have, of course, the Grindstone, we have a Needle. Skimmer, okay. This is actually kind of neat, what he's able to do with these two cards. And that's now, what, 4 of them? 1, 2, 3, yeah, that's the last bird. Zenith for 2, interesting. Curator, sure. Now, if he goes after Painter, we can start getting things back. But I wonder if we want to just get Bridge here, because the problem is that we have 6 mana. Well, we can get Bridge, play it, play the Furnace, play the Opal, and that gives us the 4 mana for the second Karn, and then we have Karn empty-handed against his stuff, and 4 mana. Is that actually good enough, though? Or would you rather get, I think if the Karn's going to go away, I like to protect the Karn. That's the thing that's keeping us in the game. We're going to get an Ensnaring Bridge. What do we have in exile? Oh, yeah, that. Okay. We're going to get the Bridge. Okay, that resolved, huh? Nice. Play the Opal. Play a Great Furnace. I accept losing the City of Traders. Keep that one, plus it. No targets. Okay, so we are not exactly in a great spot. I'd actually love to have Locomotive Coding in the deck at this point, or in the sideboard rather, but we can still do things. This could be a Prismatic or a Teferi, which would be bad news. We'd lose the Karn, Teferi. Okay, so we could bounce this, kill the Karn, we replay it. Yeah, okay. That's really annoying. Yeah, I think we may be on the way out of this game at this point, unless we start drawing some real non-crap. I mean, Bridge will buy us some time. Our opponents only have 2 cards in hand anyway, so I guess he didn't. I mean, maybe we didn't have to play that second card there, but then he would have attacked down the one that was there with the 1. But still, I mean, that's better. So I kept a card on top of the Surveil here. Exiled this thing. Okay, it has to leave his graveyard. Okay. Blast. That is a little flippin' late. Play a Bridge. Can't blast because of Teferi. And I think we need to go ahead and kill this. I don't like doing it, but we can't let him draw cards. Like, our way out of this involves top decking, which is not a great place to be. Especially since our Dragon Engine is turned off by the stupid raccoon. Yeah, and he is going for it. And both of our cards are now dead, so we're not getting that back. And did we bring in bolts? We probably shouldn't. I think we did. We brought in 2 bolts. Okay, so that's some thing we can do to deal with this up to a point and deal with Teferi up to a point. Okay, that's nice. We'll just go. We'll go to the. Yeah, we're gonna go to the next game. Okay, you got it. We'll go to the next game, and we will hopefully. Do we board it all differently? Do we board differently? Honestly, I don't think so. Needle doesn't really stop anything that we care about. The one thing I think I will do though is get rid of the opal in favor of a petal. I think opal might just be too hard to turn on. I actually might do Spirit Guide instead. I'm sure there's going to be collector stuff. And I wonder if we really want a surgical, and maybe a bolt would be better. I think a bolt might actually be better because his draw engine is the small creature, and there's the stupid raccoon. You could also make an argument for portable hole. Um, I think I'd rather leave that in the sideboard because it's basically the same thing as bolt. All right, this time we will not walk face first into pernicious deed. I say that, and we draw a hand like this. But I think we keep this. We have enough stuff that we can do that really matters. We can bolt a turn one thing, although we're not going to have to deal with a turn one thing. Um, this is a Saga hand more than anything else. If we play Saga turn one and we have to kill a bird on his next turn, are we okay with not being able to do that? Well, I think we may actually play a bolt though, because we may want to kill the stupid mill insect. Yeah, we're gonna do that. Yeah, as expected, the mill insect. A very aggressive blast here, I have to be honest. Okay, so that was all, which means we can play this engineer. Now we are going to get Painter Servant, I think, here. We're going to try to play this game quickly, especially since we can get it back potentially next turn. And I want to put him to the test. Like if he wants to remove this Goblin Welder, it means he's not playing the bird, and that means we can then make Saga constructs with blast backup for bird. Now, does he have a source of plowshares? It appears not. Now, I could have an endurance. Screwed up. We could have played the land and just gotten it, and then we would have had to deal with the source of plowshares, and we would deprive ourselves of this construct that we now have. So, I mean, this isn't the worst thing in the world. We probably end up blasting something, which is okay here. And then we make more constructs. Okay, sure. Oh, he can deed for 0? That's really annoying. At least he didn't play this Great Furnace, though. Yeah, F me. Do we bolt that this time? Or do we just slam Karn? Now, our opponent missed a land drop there, so he's got 4 non-lands. Which I think actually makes me a little bit more interested in jamming up the mana. Maybe I'm wrong about that. Oh no, no, that's right. So for 1. So like, is he getting another one? That's kind of funny. Yeah, he gets another one. Parlor or Saga? I said we weren't going to walk face first in Pernicious Deed, and then we went and did it. Now, I think we want to go get something, but what? Wish we had liquid metal coating, I have to say. I wish we did. Maybe we get, I think we may actually just wait. We're going to get the grindstone, though. I want to make sure that we get that, and that way we don't necessarily have to get it with the Urza Saga. And we can also now just top deck Painter. Actually, what we're probably setting up to do is to get Soul Guide Lantern, exile our own Painter Servant, get it back with the Karn, cast it, and go off that way. Okay, so we found the bird, and I wish the power is going to be our white mana, but it comes into play tapped, so we can't portable hold the bird here. We're going to have to probably just allow him to draw some cards. Now we could crypt him here. But I think I want to preserve the ability to we could crypt him here. I think I might want to preserve the ability to go get Lantern, Exile Painter, get it with Karn next turn. This presumably gets attacked down to 2, maybe even to 1. But, well, not to 1, because we can defend with a construct, assuming we don't walk face first and down a Pernicious Deed, which is possible. Notably, our opponent again missed a land draw, even after the Brainstorm. Is that a reason to get Tormod's Crypt? No, because then we just give up the Karn, and I don't think that's right. No targets. We were playing this in the wrong order here, I think, because we are walking into a Pernicious Deed. There's the Lantern, but we actually want that on top. Yeah. Well, we'll see what we're up against here. Okay, white mana is good. It's not black. Swords on the Welder. Okay. Attacking the Karn, I presume. Yes. Well, it has 2 untapped mana and 3 non-land cards in hand. What do we do? I think we may actually want to go for constructs. But maybe I'm wrong about that. And if he had played a land drop and had 2 cards in hand, I might be willing to like take a chance on it. Oh, hey, we can do everything. We can do everything. get the painter, cast it. Hope we don't walk face first into Pernicious Deed. And this also covers us against Endurance. But I think we do not activate. I don't think we go for the combo here until we have to. Okay, it looks like we kind of have to. I mean, we don't have to. This is obviously a ploy to force a vigor, which is really annoying. Mills no cards. So if you have Endurance, we have the Lantern. And we've got two 5/5 constructs. Hot dog, 5-0 on camera.